What is up, my Meter Bros? Maine-iac here with another NFL Power Rankings Week 10. I don't know why I say it like that, and I don't know exactly how to intro into this. There's a lot of movement, a lot of things don't look the same, and of course, we're going into the one week in the NFL I hate the most, which is the week where 6 teams are on bye, which really makes it hard after. So we start off with number 32, which is no longer the Miami Dolphins. Number 32 is the only winless team left in the NFL, the Cincinnati Bengals. Completely awful, with Ryan Finley starting for the rest of the year. I believe he's starting for the rest of the year, unless something happens. Then you got Washington at number 31, dropping a spot as well. I honestly just don't know what they're doing. They have talent on offense, they have talent on defense, but altogether, it's just awful. It's like having a lot of like first class ingredients and making a shit pie. It's kind of what the Redskins are this year. And then you get the Jets at number 30, dropping one spot as well. Losing to the Miami Dolphins is absolutely embarrassing, with I believe Le'Veon Bell getting an MRI, partially trying to trade Jamal Adams is an awfully disgusting look. Trading Leonard Williams. This team is. It looked like it would be good at the beginning of the year, and now it just looks like it's just hoping to not embarrass itself more than it already has, I should say, by seeing Ghost. And you have the Miami Dolphins, who gained 3 spots to number 29. This might be the highest they are all year, but they are playing with their heart. They took a lead early against the Cowboys earlier in the season. They've been very competitive in most of their games. They struggle with putting it together completely. Ryan Fitzpatrick had a solid game. Walton, I believe, is suspended. I'm not sure for how long. 4 games, I think. And then you have Xavier Howard, who went on IR. And this team is still playing so hard. It is incredible, honestly, how competitive they have been with how little they currently have. And then you have Atlanta at number 28, who are on a bye week and are awful as well. New York Giants dropped 2 spots after some questionable calls with pass interference going the wrong way for them and going the wrong way in general because they were just flat out wrong. The Black Cat incident. This team, I think, should just honestly start looking for next year. You got Shepard, Ingram, Saquon, Jones. If you can find another top flight wide receiver in the second round and focus on the defense, then this team could be really good next year. It's just some holes are bigger than they should be, and Daniel Jones needs to just grow into it a little bit. That's part of it. Although I am a little worried on what his ceiling could be. And then you have the Cleveland Browns dropping 6 spots. Yes, they aren't one of the biggest gainers and one of the biggest losers, as you can see on the screen, but they're tied, dropping 6 spots. I can't make any more excuses for Cleveland. They are fucking awful. They've lost to the Denver Broncos, who weren't even starting Joe Flacco. I don't know how, if you're a defense, you lose that way. Baker Mayfield is just completely unraveling. OBJ, and Jarvis Landry having to be warned to change cleats at halftime, or else they wouldn't be able to play because they just somehow keep forgetting what the fuck the uniform policy is, which it's not that goddamn hard. OBJ, you've been fined how many times for uniform violations, and you're still doing it? You don't give a fuck about your team, and you don't give a fuck about the season. It doesn't help that Freddie Kitchens is a god-awful coach, but I digress. I'm not going to blame it all on Freddie Kitchens. He obviously has no head coaching experience before, and once he grows into the role, he could be serviceable. And they have Denver number 25 gaining 2 spots, jumping the Cleveland Browns, and jumping the Giants with a good win over the Browns. The quarterback who replaced Joe Flacco looked better than I imagined. I think one thing that benefits this offense is having a more mobile quarterback, having a more agile quarterback, because Joe Flacco was a statue in the pocket. He was not moving much at all. Even when he did, he was not comfortable. So I think having some of that refreshes the offense a little bit. Noah Fan got involved, which was really nice. That defense got involved, which was really good. Defense looked pretty solid. Yeah, Tampa Bay staying even with a tough loss to Seattle. I didn't quite know where to rank them. They were pushing that close into overtime, but then they just folded a little bit too late. A little bit too early, I should say. Jacksonville, number 23, dropping a spot. It's interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how this team looks starting Nick Foles for the rest of the year, I believe. And Tennessee drops 3 spots after a very, very tough loss. But still, Tennessee is one of those teams where they're capable so much. It's just a matter of putting it together. Tannehill has looked solid for the most part, but he had a bad game. And I think coaching is limiting what Tennessee can do. And you have Arizona at number 21 getting 2 spots. Kyler Murray looked solid. They lost, I believe. But still, he looked good. They were competitive against San Fran, the only undefeated team left in the NFL, and that is a huge factor. 3-4-1, and they almost took down the last undefeated team. If it wasn't for a gimme touchdown at the end of the first half when they got stopped, when the Niners got stopped on 4th down, but the coach inexplicably called timeout at the same time, so it didn't count, and then the 49ers get a touchdown. And then later on in the game, when you're reviewing such a bad choice, and the Niners get basically 10 points, which they shouldn't have had. And if you figure that into the score, Cardinals win. But fact is, they didn't win, but they came close. And that's kind of the mistakes you can learn from. You got Pittsburgh gaining 6 spots. Mason Rudolph is looking more solid in the pocket. He's passing a little bit better. James Washington is looking a lot better. Trey, the young running back, looked pretty solid. Jalen Samuels looked really good. James Conner didn't even play, and they won, which is huge, which is very huge. Pittsburgh is 4-4, just 2 games, I believe, out of the division. So if they beat the Ravens in their next game, which they could, because Minkah is one of the fastest, most lethal safeties I have seen in a long time. So an option for them could be have him shadow Lamar Jackson because he's a beast. And you have Chicago dropping 6 spots. I'm done making excuses for Chicago. That offense is absolutely pathetic. Defense is good, but that defense is wearing thin. Having to carry the offense so much is starting to unravel the defense. They can only play perfect for so long before they fold. And we're seeing it right now, as evidence of only their 2 wins. And the Chargers gain 3 spots up to number 18 with a good win over the Packers. I'm not going to overrate them so much on this, but it is one thing to look at how they've played lately, not just this week. It's nice to see Bagley back. He made a lot of good kicks. But that offense still struggled. That defense ended up struggling later on in the game. Although they didn't surrender too many points to the Packers, this team has been inconsistent, and I award consistency more so than I award one really good game. And then you have the Detroit Lions rounding out the bottom half, dropping 1 spot. Good game. They tried, but that can only get you so far. But it's nice to see Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones both having a good day. Carolina gains 1 spot to number 16, putting Cam Newton on IR. Christian McCaffrey had a freaking amazing game. That was awesome. Raiders gained 3 spots to number 15. I believe their highest ranking of the year. They looked very solid. Jacobs looked very solid. And Waller looks like maybe a top 5 tight end in the NFL. I'm not going to say he's top 5, but he deserves consideration. He's very consistent. Very good. Good red zone target, good downfield target, good speed, good size, a lot of good everything. And then you have the Colts at number 14 dropping 4 spots. I debated on where to put them, in all honesty, with Jacoby Brissett's MCL sprain and having Brian Hoyer start long term does lead me to be cautious, especially with T.Y. Hilton, I believe, missing 1 to 2 more weeks, if I'm correct on that. But this Colts defense is still pretty good. They couldn't beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, and part of that is it came on a missed kick by Adam Vinatieri, whether it was because of the laces or not. Vinatieri missed 2 kicks. They lost by 2 points. Vinatieri has been a very good kicker in his career. I believe an 84% field goal percentage, but he is not good this year, and that's a huge concern going forward. Is can you really rely on Adam Vinatieri to make that field goal? And that's not something I really thought I would ever say. So I'm honestly hoping this is Adam Vinatieri's last season, because I do not want to see him get any worse. And you have Buffalo getting 1 spot as well. Josh Allen didn't look so good in the passing game, but the Buffalo Bills overall looked decent. Singletary is coming back from injury quite nicely, and that defense is still keeping up as one of the top defenses in the league. Then you get the Rams at number 12 on a bye. Not much else to say about that. Philadelphia at number 4 with a good win. That puts them at 5-4, I believe. So I believe they do deserve to be just on the outer edge of the playoffs, or out of the top 10, I should say. But they are pushing. Some more consistency is something I really want to see from them, offensive line-wise, defensive line-wise. If they keep it up, they can definitely easily contend for that division. And you got Dallas at number 10 getting 1 spot as well. Good game from them. Like I said with the Giants, benefited from some penalties. That Black Cat was honestly odd. But Dak Prescott looked more solid after that. I don't know if something was wrong with his head and he needed some time to think. But he's playing a little bit more consistently. He still struggles at times. But with Ezekiel Elliott at running back, it's really hard to be down for too long. And you got Minnesota dropping 4 spots at number 9. Losing to Kansas City with a backup quarterback is tough. Is very tough. Giving you your 3rd loss is very tough, especially a week where Green Bay picked up its 2nd loss, so you had a chance to really put yourself in great position to win the NFC North, and you fold. Kirk Cousins had a terrible game. He cannot handle prime time games, and this wasn't even really prime time. This was, I believe, the nationally aired television game at like the 4:30 slot. He couldn't handle it. It was awful. Kansas City won. Kansas City played better. That's why Kansas City's still ahead of them at number 8. One reason why Kansas City isn't higher is because I believe the teams above them are still a little bit better currently. But once Mahomes comes back, definitely Kansas City is in a position to come back up. So Minnesota at 9 and Kansas City 8. And then you have Seattle at number 7, dropping 1 spot. With a good win over the Bucs, this loss isn't so much about Seattle. They still played really well. This is more so about the other teams ahead of them. Yes, I do not think currently the Seattle Seahawks are a top 5 team. I think the teams above them are better. I think overall they are better. Russell Wilson did struggle, but he did come back to win it. And by, I guess, Russell Wilson's standard struggled. He is leading the league in touchdowns. He is probably the lead candidate for MVP, but still, overall, I think the weak point, honestly, is the defense, although it's playing solid. I like the Seahawks. I like DK Metcalf. I like how they picked up Josh Gordon for a chance. I like Tyler Lockett. Really good. I love the passing game of the Seahawks. I don't so much love the running game, and I don't so much love the defense, although I do like the defensive line. And you got Green Bay dropping 2 spots to number 6 with a tough loss to the Chargers. It's kind of one of those off weeks where nothing goes well kind of thing for the Packers. Nobody really played great. And I remember somebody saying that, the Packers are the best team in the NFL because they're playing without Devontae Adams. And once they get him back, they're going to be unbeatable. Well, they had him back. And they lost to the Chargers, mind you. They got eaten up by Melvin Gordon, who has not played well. They got eaten up by the Chargers running game, which overall has not played well. So they do drop a couple spots, but I still think they're one of the better teams because I think they overall have one of the better offensive units. I think one reason why the Packers struggled is their offensive line was kind of mismatched against Joey Bosa and a healthy Melvin Ingram. I do believe Melvin Gordon kind of exposed their weakness, which is the run game. And Eckler had a pretty solid game as well. I don't expect Green Bay to keep struggling like that. They might have 1 or 2 games where they do struggle the same. But it was, honestly, to me, just a bad matchup. And then you got Baltimore at number 5. I know a lot of people probably have them a lot higher. I have them at number 5, currently getting 4 spots. Really good matchup for them last week. I picked them to win against the Patriots because I saw this coming. Patriots are an older team, a slower team. Baltimore is fast, pound you in the ass kind of team. And that is like the biggest weakness right now of the New England Patriots. They can defend the pass really well, but if you have an extremely dominant run game, you're probably going to have an amazing chance of beating the Patriots. And coming off a bye week, like just watching that situation, I'm like, Lamar Jackson is coming off a bye week. He's facing the New England Patriots defense who just got eaten up by Chubb. I'm like, there is no way the Patriots are winning this game. And I was correct. There is no way they were winning that game. But I will say, if it wasn't for the Julian Edelman fumble that led to immediate 7 points, and if it wasn't for the Patriots defense digging a 17-0 hole early in the game, it might have looked a lot different. But it'll be interesting to see how this team goes forward. I liked their matchup. They won just like I thought they would, but still, top 5 team in the league. I want to see a little bit more consistency from the defense. I think the weakness for them is going to be their linebacking core. Their defensive front looked solid, but again, the biggest weakness of the Patriots is their run defense and their offensive line. So, bad matchup, just like the Packers. And that's why the New England Patriots are number 3. They dropped 2 spots. So yes, 5 and 3. I did them together. Apologies. Number 4, we have the Houston Texans, who looked really good even without J.J. Watt, who did cause some concerns last week. But Deshaun Watson looked really good even with an injured eye. DeAndre Hopkins did not have a good game, but Carlos Hyde, holy fuck did he have a game. And if he can continue playing that well, this Houston Texans team, if they face the Patriots in the playoffs, will win. If Carlos Hyde plays like this again. Even as a Patriots fan, I have full confidence in saying if Hyde can play like this, the Texans will beat the Patriots. And then at number 2, the new top 2. We have San Fran at number 2, undefeated. Struggled against the Arizona Cardinals. Got gifted a couple points. Still ended up winning. One thing you can't really judge in the NFL is necessarily how you win. It's all a matter of getting the win, no matter how ugly it is. Because, like as evidenced by the Packers and the Patriots, any given Sunday, you can get your ass beat. We've seen it plenty of times before. Even last year, if you look at the Patriots who won the Super Bowl, they lost 5 times to non-playoff teams. And the Niners came really close. They're coming into their toughest stretch of the season, and they have a really good defense and a really good offense. But the one concern for them is the run game. As good as it is with Tevin Coleman and Matt Breida, it's starting to get a little bit banged up, and Staley isn't back yet. McGlinchey's not back yet. And Juszczyk isn't back yet. So they're poised to take the number 1 spot. But I can't put them ahead of number 1. All in good faith. Because for me, the number 1 team in the NFL is the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. Even Jared Cook's having a decent season. That defense is having a great season as well. That offensive line is very, very, very underrated. And even when Kamara was out, Latavius Murray played amazing. When Brees was out, Teddy Bridgewater went undefeated. And I said, when Brees went down, if Bridgewater can manage even just a couple wins, the Saints are poised for the playoffs. But they didn't lose a single game. Yes, the Niners are undefeated, but the Niners haven't faced anybody like the Saints quite yet. And I think the Saints are honestly right now the best team in the NFL, playing the most consistent football in the NFL. That's another reason why the Saints are number one. Although Jimmy Garoppolo did have a really good game with 4 touchdowns, he's very, very inconsistent. Sometimes goes under 200, sometimes goes 300. Very inconsistent. The Saints, very, very consistent football. You know almost exactly what you'll get from them, and that's the one thing I love the most about the NFL. Anyway, guys, that was long enough. I apologize for taking up too much of your time. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.